Hey, Shalom Akim. First and foremost, give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, Bashim Rachak Kodash, the honors of the elders, Apostle Great Millstone, the elders Great Millstone, and of course, peace and blessings under the hopeful elect. This is here, servants of Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, Saram in truth and sincerity. Yes, I'm the brother Chayaba from GMS Plaintables Camp, coming back with another us into the spirit. Yes, this lesson be based off of this article from nationalnews.com, which is entitled, it says, Moscow preparing for World War III after Israel's reckless strikes on Iran risk nuclear catastrophe. And as we know, we are in those times where the world ignorantly calls God and Jesus, which is what the true name of the Heavenly Father is, Yahweh, and the Son's name is Yahushai. And we say Bahashem, meaning in the name of. So Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Well, ultimately, he's the one who's stirring up the nations. Stirring up meaning, well, he's brewing war and tension between these nations. And guess what? All of it is prophesied within the scriptures. So it's, without a doubt, it will happen. And it's right around the corner. So it says, the world stands on the brink of disaster as Israel's relentless bombing on Iranian nuclear facilities threatens to ignite a wider conflict with catastrophic consequences. It says Russia has condemned the attacks as illegal and destabilizing, warning that it says states' actions could push the planet toward a nuclear nightmare. It says, meanwhile, Iran has retaliated with missile strikes, and U.S. President Donald Trump has escalated tensions by demanding Tehran's unconditional surrender. It says, as global powers take sides, a Russian general has declared that World War III has already begun, and the clock is ticking for humanity to avert total destruction. And he's 100% right. World War III has already begun. We're just in we're just in the beginning stages of it. Ultimately, what we're waiting for is that climax, which the climax is when that nuclear war pops off once the missiles are launched. Guess what? All of it is prophecy. So Trump can't stop, nobody, Trump, whoever, they can't stop what the Lord's stirring up between the nations. As we know, it says Joel chapter 3 and 9, it says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Prepare war, wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. See? So it says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Yeah, the Gentiles. And of course, here being the other nations. Outside. Of course, what it says, the other nations. The heathen. Because right now they're Israelites are, of course, at the bottom. We don't have no army. And ultimately, that's the heathen, the Russians and Edomites, obviously, Moabites, Chinese, so-called Chinese. And over here in America is ran by Edomites, of course, so-called white men. Ishmael, Elam, of course, the Iran going back onto Persia, and Persia, of course, going back onto Elam. So how about Shemyoshai stirring up these other nations so they can war against one another? It says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. So guess what? The Lord is deliberately stirring this up. So guess what will happen? War is being prepared. It says, Joel chapter 3 and 10, beat your plowshares and the swords and your pruning hooks and the spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Yeah, and America has always been known as a superpower. No other nation could match up onto it. But now we're in those times where the weak are saying, I am strong. China wasn't always known for its technological advancements. It was a point, of course, what the USSR fell. But hey, guess what? Yahweh Shemiel Shai is again rising up these other nations, making them stronger. Letting them get stronger, because ultimately Yahweh Shemiel Shai is the one who's providing these other nations, with, of course, with the nukes. Because hey, as we know, the Lord, He works through men. So it says, so going back on the article, what the scriptures say, how the Lord created the smith. So it says, key points: Russia warns Israel strikes on Iran risk triggering a nuclear catastrophe and destabilizing the region. It says Iran retaliates with missile attacks, vowing severe punishment against Israel. Trump demands Iran's unconditional surrender and claims U.S. controls Iranian airspace. It says Russian Major General Abdi says Aladinov, it says declares World War III has started, urging mass mobilization of troops. It says Israel justifies attacks by claiming Iran is near nuclear weapons capability, despite intelligence contradicting this. So again, things are happening. And as prophets, we watch. We watch. And of course, we feed the sheep. We warn the sheep. We watch. And we prophesy. We warn the sheep. Linking up current events with the scriptures. And without a doubt, we are 100% at the end. It says, Joel chapter 3 and 11, assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord Yahweh. See? So this will happen. It says, let the heathen be wakened. And come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat. For there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. Yeah, non-Israelites. And guess what? Again, the Israelites are currently at the bottom, but Yahweh Shemiel Shai will judge the heathen. And what? The Lord's going to make it where the heathen war against themselves. and then once Yahweh Shai comes back, who the world anally calls Jesus, he's coming back to finish the job. To 100% take down the heathen and put them under subjection, or put them in subjection under him and the Israelites, which the heathen, they're already under subjection, or in subjection onto Yahweh Shemiel Shai. But of course, right now they're in the position where they're ruling. First and foremost, Esau Edom. But Yahweh Shemiel Shai is coming to strip that away and make the Israelites become on top over all the nations. It says, let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. Ultimately, of course, we know that there's going to be, this is going into the Middle East, the valley of Jehoshaphat. It says, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. Yeah, and the war will take place, of course, in the Middle East. But as we know, what the scriptures prophesy, the destruction of course, the land of Israel, because it's gonna have to be purified before the real Israelites come back. And the scriptures prophesy about the destruction of Babylon the Great, which is America. Which America will not be restored. America will remain uninhabited for the rest of eternity. And once the fire dies down after, obviously a long time from that nuclear fire, is gonna, of course, is gonna be a desert. It's just gonna be a desert where only pretty much it's scavenging animals dwelling. That's what's coming. So it says, Jeremiah chapter 59. For lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country. And they shall set themselves in array against her. From thence she shall be taken. The arrow shall be as of a mighty expert man. None shall return in vain. Exactly. So it says, for lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country. Of course, we know Babylon here is referring on to America, the modern day Babylon. Yeah, of course, what the scriptures go into ancient Babylon, but the scriptures also go into modern Babylon. Here it's speaking in a prophetic sense because we know this hasn't happened onto the ancient location, or onto the ancient location of, or really just, again, the location of ancient Babylon, which, the modern day, it'll be found in Iraq, and these things haven't happened onto that place. So obviously this is referring onto a modern Babylon. So it says, and they shall set themselves, it says, an assembly of great nations from the north country. North country being Russia, and of course with the assembly of great nations being the Russian Federation. It says, and they shall set themselves in array against her. From thence she shall be taken. The arrow shall be as of a mighty expert man. None shall return in vain. Exactly. So what, they're going to set themselves in array against America, Russia, obviously what these other nations too. They're going to be in league and make an alliance with Russia. We know Russia and China, they're going to be those main superpowers. It says, of course, are within that alliance. It says, from thence she should be taken. The arrow should be as of a mighty expert man. None shall return in vain. Arrows going into the nuclear missiles. The modern day arrow, without a doubt, is a nuclear missile. It says the arrow should be as of a mighty expert man. Yeah, because we know missiles, ICBMs, nuclear missiles, hypersonic missiles, but they all have highly advanced targeting systems. So that's why it likens it out to a mighty expert man. Obviously meaning a marksman, or however you want to put it, somebody who's very skilled at right here, shooting arrows. Well, the Lord has put the spirit again on these other nations that they craft a highly advanced targeting system. So wherever it goes, it hits its target. And it says what? None shall return in vain, because ultimately, once those missiles are launched, you can't do anything to stop it. And even if, let's say, one nation wanted to divert their missiles or make it go somewhere else, they won't be able to. Why? Because the spirit of Yahweh Bashmi Shai will be in those missiles. And they're going to lose control. The Lord's going to have it go wherever he wants them to go, those missiles. And even if, what they might be moving or the controls, so the missiles goes, ultimately, it's still Yahweh Bashmi Shai putting the spirit on them to do so. So again, no matter what, the missiles are going to go where they're going to go. The majority of them will hit Babylon and Great, because Revelation 9 goes into the amount of pretty much it goes into 200 million go ahead and get that real quick. Revelation 9. And Revelation, says, Revelation 9:16, it says, and the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000, and I heard the number of them. It says, and thus I saw the horses in the vision, and them that sat on them, having breastplates of fire, and of jacinth, and of brimstone, and of the heads of the, it says, in the heads of the horses, whereas the heads of lions. And out of their mouths issue fire and smoke and brimstone. Yeah, that's going into the nuclear missiles. Ultimately, what? It says 200,000, which is 200 million. Yeah, it could be the warheads, because again, 200, yes, 200 million. And hey, we just got to see how it plays out. But ultimately, we know that's going into what a destructive object. Which again, the warheads have what each missile, nuclear missiles has multiple warheads. And what, anyways, what they're we have reports about how many missiles each nation has, but again, we already know they're not going to be 100% honest, so they can have a lot more. But ultimately, what this prophecy will come to pass. Yahweh Shem Yashai will make this come to pass. So yeah, I believe it's a point. Lord's will you brothers out there edified. Yahweh Shem Yashai, Shalom.